The first warning came when Danielle noticed the gate. It was slightly ajar, a thin strip of rusty iron hanging loose, swaying in the faint evening breeze. Their gate was always locked. Always. Her father was meticulous about these things, a former military man who believed in protecting what was his. Yet this summer evening, as the sun bled its fiery orange into shadowy purples, something felt wrong. It had been a quiet summer. Quiet enough for the creaks of the old oak tree to echo through the yard and for the sound of the pool filter to hum like a monotonous chant. Danielle had spent the afternoon floating in their cheap above-ground pool, more plastic than luxury, but it did the job. The water was cool, the sun was warm, and for a brief moment, the worries of growing up felt far away. Then, the silhouette arrived. At first, she thought her mind was playing tricks on her. Just beyond the back fence, in the ever-deepening shadows of their corner suburban lot, stood the hint of movement. A tall figure, motionless, but unmistakably watching. Danielle squinted into the gold-tinted sunlight, hoping to turn the figure into something harmless. A neighbor out for a walk, or a man waiting for his dog to sniff its way through the bushes. She tried to ignore it. For minutes, maybe moments, she drifted aimlessly across the pool, her face turned away, the cool water lapping gently at her ears. But then she felt it, that crawling sensation of being observed, like a prickly shiver sliding its way down her neck. Turning her head slowly, her blood ran cold. The man was still there, closer now, watching. He stood rigid beside the fence, his body woven into the gaps of the wooden beams. His face was obscured by the evening shadows and the thickness of the planks, but she felt his gaze like a physical weight pressing against her chest. Danielle froze. Her instincts argued, was this real? Could someone have climbed back there? It wasn't uncommon for neighbors to pass through their property from time to time, but this was different. This felt wrong. She couldn't move, couldn't speak. The man tilted his head, as if studying her reaction. Suddenly, the figure moved, walking away toward the far end of the fence where their old, stubborn back gate stood. Danielle breathed a sigh of relief. The encounter was over. Maybe he'd just been lost, someone confused or looking for something. But as she prepared to close her eyes and lay back on her float again, the wood behind her creaked. The sound sent lightning down her spine. She turned sharply toward the fence. It wasn't coming from the fence. It was coming from the deck. The groan of old wood bending under weight. Someone was on the deck. Her stomach dropped, heart pounding. She whipped her body around. Standing at the edge of the pool, only 15 feet away, was the man. No longer behind the shelter of the fence, he stood fully revealed under the dim glow of the back porch light. He was thin, too thin. His clothes, an odd mismatch of outdated work pants and a sweat-drenched shirt, hung loosely on his frame. His face was pale, unshaven, and hollow-looking, but his eyes, empty and unnervingly calm, were what froze her. There was no emotion there. No malice, yet no humanity either, just blankness. Danielle scrambled to the edge of the pool, adrenaline kicking in. Her legs felt weak as she hauled herself out of the water, her fingers trembling as they gripped the slippery ladder rails. She slipped once, almost falling back in, panic clawing at her throat. The man didn't move. He simply watched her struggle, like a predator toying with its prey. She bolted toward the glass patio doors, her screams ripping through the humid evening air. "Mom, Dad, someone's here." Her hands slapped the door, her wet palms leaving ghostly streaks on the glass. "Mom, Mom!" exclamation mark inside. The lights flicked on. Her mother's panicked face appeared in the doorway. Relief flooded her as her mother unlocked the door with shaking hands and yanked it open. Danielle stumbled inside just as the man finally moved, calmly stepping closer, his slow, deliberate gait grinding her nerves into dust. Her mother screamed for her father. Her cries were sharp, panicked, pulling him down the stairs. He stormed out into the backyard, a baseball bat in hand. "Hey!" her father roared. "Get the hell out of here! Now!" The man stopped, merely an arm's length from the glass door, silent, still. His face remained blank as ever, his gaze seeming to drift, lost in some distant, unknowable thought. He turned his head toward Danielle, locking eyes with her for one fleeting, frozen second. That was when he smiled. It wasn't a cruel smile. It wasn't kind either. It was something else. A small, crooked twitch of his lips, like he was sharing some terrible secret no one else could know. Then he walked away, making his way toward the fence. Danielle gasped as the man reached the old gate. Instead of climbing or forcing his way through, he simply stopped. For a horrifying moment, his hands went to the twist of wire her father had fastened over the cheap latch. Slowly, methodically, the man unwound it, as if he'd done it 1,000 times before. The gate swung open. He vanished into the night. The police came that night, combing the area but finding no trace of the stranger. They checked the neighborhood, questioned the nearby residents, and even reviewed security footage from the corner of the block. There was nothing. The man had disappeared as quietly as he had come. Danielle didn't sleep for weeks. The incident became a story, one told quietly and with nervous laughter at family barbecues or whispered among cousins at reunions. But Danielle never forgot his face, his hollow stare, his twisted little grin. Years later, long after moving out of her childhood home, she thought she could finally leave the memory behind. She started fresh, built a new life with a husband, and even had a corner office in her company. Life was good until last week. It was late when she heard the doorbell ring. Her husband was away on business, and their cul-de-sac was typically silent at this hour. Nervously, she peeked through the peephole. No one was there. But as she stood in the hallway, her palms growing clammy, she noticed something out of place. Through the front window, her eyes locked on the gate to their backyard. It was swinging open, and in the shadows, just barely visible beneath the glow of a distant street lamp, stood the same man, smiling.